everyone, welcome back to the Girls Who Eat, Breathe and Dream Motorsport podcast. I'm Danique. I'm joined here with my co-host Jamie, and we have a lovely guest, AshVandelay. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
So, before we get into the rest of the podcast, first of all, what happened in motorsport the past week? So, the official Formula E season has fully started with the first race in Mexico City. Pascal Wehrlein got the pole position and the win this weekend, whereas Sebastian Buemi and Nick Cassidy got respectively P2 and P3. It was an unlucky season starter for Di Grassi, Freins, Da Costa, and Sergio Camaro, with the first three DNFing and the latter not even starting the race because his battery had exploded. And then we had a rookie, a return, and the champion in the championship. So Daruvala ended up on P16 on his first ever race in Formula E. De Vries returns with a P15 in the Mahindra racing car, and the reigning champion Jake Dennis made it to P9. So before the start of the race, there was already penalties given out to Cassidy, Evans, and Van Dorne for infringements in the first free practice session, and that meant they all had to start a place further back on the grid. Then we also had Günther Steiner parting ways with the Haas F1 team, and Ayao Komatsu will be taken over for him as team principal in the team. Kerry Schreiner has signed with Campos Racing in Formula One Academy, representing the Sauber Academy, and a bunch of F1 teams are already releasing their car launch dates. Alpine has scheduled theirs for 7th of February, Red Bull for the 15th, Mercedes for the 14th, Aston Martin for the 12th, and Williams for the 5th. I don't know what happens with McLaren, but they seem to have wiped their entire Instagram page and only uploaded one video or post on it. And then we also had a debacle with Mahindra Racing, as they had released an AI mascot or something, and that was immediately shut down because of a lot of negative feedback from especially female content creators, because it basically insinuated that the current women that are content creating do not look good enough because they had to introduce AI.
I was so confused by that they launched that and expected that everybody would have a good reaction.
Only Lucas Di Grassi had a good reaction from what I saw.
Yeah. Doesn't he usually just have a good reaction to whatever's happened in Formula E? Just to be like, yeah, Formula E, woo.
Yeah, so, I think so.
Not always. He, for some reason, does not seem happy with the amount of female fans that have come into the Formula E space. He has made some misogynistic comments on that.
Oh, that's why he was happy about the AI, because it was one less actual woman that he had to talk to.
Probably, but yeah. That's basically the news of this week. It's very interesting. I personally think the AI, on the one hand, I'm not too sure why they thought it was a good idea, especially considering something has to go past so many boards of to be approved.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely wonder if there was a single woman in that area.
I don't think so. I don't think they would ever said yes to something like that as a woman. Because, I don't know, it's just not right, because you have so many content creators and upcoming content creators who you could have given that opportunity. Mm-hmm. And it was just disappointing to see that it was just AI. And that's, I don't know, it was just strange overall. And I think it's a good thing they just shut it down, because the negativity from it was so big that that's the only thing at some point I saw last week.
Yeah,
that was poor on their part. I think, to your point, exactly. Like, I don't think there was a woman in the room, and I understand when we hear AI, I think there is maybe a negative connotation, especially with what's going around in like recent social media, using AI generated art, which steals from actual human artists and they don't get compensated for it. Like there's a lot going around on social media negatively around AI and how it should be not used maybe creatively, and they just like didn't address any concerns people might have. As someone, I have a background in change management and communications, and they just like didn't do any of the hand holding to get people. They like jumped a couple steps and they're like, here's this robot, take a job. Not the actual robot, I know that, but like here's like we're taking your jobs and this is what we're doing. And it's just like, how was this going to work? Like were they, so I think on the post it said this AI was going to show behind the scenes of the Formula E season, but were the images, were they going to superimpose her on real images that a photographer took? Was it going to be an AI generated image that they're using, that they're going to put her in? Like, how was this, like, this person doesn't talk. On her profile, she was trying to sell me sneakers and told me she went for a really nice walk around her town. And I was like, you don't have feet. I don't, like, what are we doing?
So what I understood from it, from what I read somewhere, is that apparently they were gonna hire a regular person to shoot the content and everything, and then edit her on top of it, on top of everything. So like I was like, if you're hiring someone in the first place, why would you need to force AI in it? Like I get it, it's a technological advancement, but use it in a different way, not by putting it over someone else's achievements and not credit them.
Yeah, and this could have been cool. They could have had a content creator of their choosing who loves Formula E, and I know there's so many, especially up and coming, because a lot of the content creators did such a good job of bringing people into this new season. So they could have chosen any of the content creators they work with and kind of worked side by side with the AI. Be like, oh, look at this cool tech thing. Let's bring so and so. Kind of like when you ask Siri a question and like she comes up with something. They could have done something fun like that because we're so used to Siri and Amazon Alexas and Google Homes. They could have just slowly introduced, instead of really just jumping the gun and being like, here's an AI, have fun, good luck.
Yeah, literally. Like, I don't know why they thought it was a good idea, but I'm happy that they like basically immediately shut it down after all of the negative feedback they got of it.
Yeah, they didn't address it anymore. They just like, oh, they didn't really apologize either. They said, we heard your feedback.
Yeah,
gosh, I didn't find it. It was
the team principal was like, okay, we heard you all. We're quitting this. This is not gonna work. And that was it. It was not even a sorry or like a real statement.
Yeah. Oh, they did delete both of those? Oh no, here it is. Nurturing diversity and inclusion and innovation is the heart of Mahindra Racing, which I don't know what an AI has to do with diversity and inclusion, but that's besides the point. Your comments hold tremendous value. We've listened. We've decided to discontinue the project.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for discontinuing it, but like the thing, like I get the innovation part, but the diversity and inclusion is nowhere to be found with
AI have feelings too, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's what we're trying to find out. I don't know.
I mean, I guess so. Oh, apparently, I just heard from a friend that apparently the Ferrari launch date is the February 13th, and it was released back in December. That's why I didn't remember it. Because they put so much other content out in the meantime. Because I looked for it because I had an idea like they released it, but it wasn't.
Do we like car launches? How do we feel about those? What are our opinions on them?
I have mixed feelings about them.
Yeah, same. Like sometimes it's great, like if it's a good one, but if it's like, I don't know, I remember which one it was. I was like this, like I think it was.
This could have been an email.
Yeah, I think it was Alpine last year. It was like the whole launch was like very, I don't know, like a congress, and then everything after was, I think it was fine, but it was, I don't know, it didn't feel right.
I think Alpine also launched their her campaign, Racer or something like that campaign, like the campaign for the women in motorsport and all the women they wanted to support driving and everything, and that Zinedine Zidane was gonna be an ambassador for the team as well. That's what I remember. But the car launch itself was basically, oh yeah, here we have the regular
It's the
car,
It's the
and
same.
here we have a pink car because pink. But
Women love
yeah,
pink.
I love pink too. I wish the
Same.
pink car was the entire season, even though I have a miniature Alpine of like regular Alpine here. But I want a pink car. I loved purple Porsche this weekend.
Oh
It was
yes,
so
Yeah.
it's
beautiful.
nice.
It's cool.
But I want a pink car on the F1 grid. And considering Alpine is partnering with BWT, they should bring back the pink car.
Agreed.
No, full season, not just special livery. But yeah, I think some car launches can be very fun, but some, like the Aston Martin one last year especially, and I believe the Red Bull one, I wasn't like fully paying attention. I was just waiting for them to reveal the car, especially considering we expected the cars to look the same as they did previous year. Teams that I always get excited about are McLaren and Williams, because they always do something slightly different, and McLaren usually often also does some of their other teams' car reveals. So that's always interesting in my opinion. But besides that, I usually think like, yeah, it's a car. It looks basically the same as the previous year. Don't need this whole big deal made around it. Do it easy, like Haas. Just put the pictures out there.
Look, there's the car. Thank you.
Here you go. Maybe have some driver statements, but that's it, you know? Not much more needed.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I
yeah.
think it's fun if you're there. Like, then it's maybe fun. Then it's an event. But if you're just at home, I think a picture is totally
More than enough.
fine.
Yeah.
More than enough.
I think you hit the nail on the head. If it's just like the livery and it's going to look the same, this is an interesting way to spend marketing budget. I think McLaren last year brought out their, gosh, I don't remember if the IndyCar drivers were there, but I remember their Extreme E drivers were there. And they did some really cool interviews, which I appreciated. I mean, the car, didn't look exactly the same, but it was papaya and it was, but I think they did an incredible job. I liked Red Bull, not because I get paid by them. This was before I did, but because one was in New York City and they're announcing their partnership or kind of showcasing their partnership with Ford for the future. And they also had Marty Smith, who's an ESPN announcer in the United States. So they really like honed in on like the United States portion of it. And I believe the other announcer they had was a woman from Mexico, who was very popular, because I remember Googling her name and didn't realize who she was. And I was like, she's for like the Checo audience, the Latin America audience. And I thought that was really cool that they were kind of diversifying from the Europeans. And they're like, let's get other folks in here who know these two people who are huge and really good at what they do. So I thought that was interesting, and like the Ford announcement was fun. Yeah. But yeah, if it wasn't anything right, but that was for me, like Marty Smith, like I know who that is because I watch American football. But like, yeah, if you're someone like my grandmother in Poland, like didn't give a shit. She was just like, okay, cool, the car looks the same, and I was like, awesome. She's like, I don't know who these people are. She doesn't know how to use Google.
I think like
so
yeah, I definitely think it depends. Like if you're also announcing like a partnership or something like that, then yes, it can be cool to do it like very big. But if it's literally just a car like Aston Martin did last year, I'm like, just put photos online, because the whole show behind it, good for the people who are there, but why spend your money on that when you could spend it on the car development, possibly?
And I'm sure Lawrence Stroll is a great businessman. I'm sure he can control a boardroom. He knows what he wants. He makes decisions to get where he has been today. For some reason, that man in front of the camera freezes. Like, it's just like he just got like tons of Botox in his face and like refuses to show any emotion. And I was just like, what? Like, I've seen you in the garage. Like, I've seen you be upset or happy. Like, I know you're in there. Like, what is happening? Every time they put the camera on him during the car launches or livery reveals, she's like, what? Lawrence, are you in there? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, literally. Like, it's just, yeah. Sometimes some people are good at speaking, and please put them behind the mic. but or in front of a mic. But those who have shown in the past that they're not good at it, don't put them there.
Poor guy. He's definitely going to be on it. I'm taking the over on this.
But he is going to be there. He is the owner. But yeah, I think
sure, but
sometimes
maybe like pre-film something with him, or like, I don't know, make it more comfortable. Yeah. Anytime you just like put the camera on him, he's definitely either reading from a teleprompter, which we've all been there. Like we know sometimes you got to read the script and just deal with it, or like do a better job at your B-roll footage and like take the pressure off of him. I don't know what it is. Like clearly he's talked in public before. Like
make him
holds conferences.
have it. Make him have it like a conversation with his drivers, for example.
Ooh, that's fun. I like that.
Like that would be fun because then you don't put as much pressure on him as if he's just doing it like just on his own for the audience, but he's making it a conversation with his drivers, you know?
Yeah.
But and they can still make it scripted, you know. But at least don't put him up there all on his own. Don't put the spotlight just on him.
I mean, joke's on us, he's still a billionaire, right? Like
yeah.
Darn. If only I had $1 billion and couldn't speak publicly. I'd rather switch that around.
Oh, yes.
But alas, here we are.
Yeah. At least we're enjoying us.
Yeah. That's true.
But yeah. I think it definitely depends on team and the way they build it up and stuff like that. I know AlphaTauri has done it with fashion shows in the past.
Oh yeah,
which
they did that for Las Vegas too.
Which of course is fun, especially considering they are a fashion brand. But sometimes it was a little bit long. But yeah, that I have that with multiple teams, and I can't change anything about it except for that I don't have the attention span enough for things that are taking way longer than they should take.
Motorsport Italia reported the wrong date for Redbull like a couple days ago. And I was like, this is not what my plane ticket's for. I was like, someone's wrong, either the Red Bull travel department or Motorsport Italia. And I was like, I can't say anything. It was just like, where did you get your info from? And they're like, oh, insider source. I was like, well, you should probably check their plane ticket.
That insider source is not correct. But yeah.
Like, damn.
Sometimes I genuinely wonder where some news sources, or at least that's what they call themselves, get their news from.
Yeah.
Sources.
We're doing air quotes. I don't know if you have video with your podcast, but we're doing heavy air quotes when we say sources.
Heavy quotation marks. But yeah, I genuinely sometimes wonder. But what I find the funniest thing is the fact that the best well-known journalist in Formula E is called Sam Smith. And when I first saw that, I was like, since when is Sam Smith a journalist for Formula E?
Yeah, the music guy? The artist?
That was genuinely my first reaction, but yeah. It's still funny. I still love it, especially considering like whenever there's a rumor from him, it usually turns out to be correct. Whereas some rumors from others were like, oh yeah, what's your source? Oh, him. Then, oh yeah, it's correct. But yeah, that's basically the news that's been going on the past week. I don't know if you have any other news that's been going on. You've seen maybe NASCAR or IndyCar that I may have missed.
There's some NASCAR news, but to continue a little bit on Formula One, there's also that F1 Academy that each team is sponsoring drivers, right? And I mean, do we get their livery? Do they get custom liveries to be sponsored with teams? Like or is that because their teams like? There's gotta be some papaya on Bianca's car, right? Like there's gotta be.
Normally, yeah, normally with Academy drivers for teams, they have a livery based on the team itself. I know Alpine, Abby Pulling already drove for Alpine past year, and I believe her car was pink, if I'm correct.
I want to see those livery reveals. I know what the Red Bull's going to look like, but I want to know what the Red Bull sponsored driver is going to. What are they driving? Who is it?
look very similar. I'm especially curious who the Red Bull drivers are going to be, because I've heard the rumors that Red Bull is going to have multiple cars on the grid.
Interesting.
So I'm like, if they are going to do that, how are we going to be able to differentiate them from each other besides the number? Because
Don't look at me,
that's
I'm not
always
telling
been
you.
it. Because
I was
that's
like, I'm keeping the most neutral face I can.
because that's always what I find the most interesting about the Red Bull drivers in F2 and F3. The way that you have to be able to distinguish them. Like Zane Maloney and Enzo Fittipaldi had a slightly different yellow on their rear wing, for example.
Yeah.
Dennis Hauger had a green front wing. Stuff like that. I always find it interesting how you're going to be able to differentiate the drivers from
I was going to ask if they can sponsor multiple drivers, but I guess it doesn't matter, right? Like F1 Academy probably, it's like, yeah, if you have money, please sponsor drivers. Like, I don't think
if you want to, why not, you know?
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, if you're willing to, go ahead.
I mean, one is required, but like the rest, I think you can just do whatever you want.
If they want to, they can. It's Red Bull.
No,
if they want to, they can. They will.
Yeah, I mean, if they have the money to do so, why not?
Right.
Like, it's good for the sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. And good for the promotion of the female drivers as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, hopefully we see a lot of good, like I've heard a lot of things like teams thinking up of what to do with F1 Academy and the drivers they're sponsoring, but I hope like all those things happen. And my big thing is we treat them as any other driver that's part of the F1 team, if that makes sense. Like whatever, for example, whatever Max and Checo do on social media, do it with your F1 Academy driver. Like just do the same bits, the same questions, do the ideal racing line, take me around the track, do track walks, like treat them like drivers and nothing, I don't know, anything too different or special, but yeah, they should be there too and hopefully supporting all the same time. So hopefully
I hope so.
Hopefully it goes well.
I hope it goes well as well, especially considering the way that it ended with W Series.
Yeah.
That's a whole different story.
It's really
I saw that
unfortunate.
people were buying were able to buy the W Series cars, and one of a group chat I was in was like, if we all put enough money in, we can get the cars, all of us together, and then we can make our own championship, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I agree.
I just find it so interesting, all the development and everything. And I think having Susie Wolf as the CEO of F1 Academy definitely helps the promotion of it, considering her experience in Formula E. And of course, she has been a racer herself. Before Jessica Hawkins, I believe she was one of the last women to actually drive a modern-ish Formula One car, things like that. So I think with her, they have a very good person in charge.
Yeah, she's a good CEO. Like she shakes hands, kiss babies, like speaks very well, right? Like she can go up on the news station. She can go to the newspaper and be like, this is what we're doing. This is the goal. This is how we're going to achieve it. And everyone like goes behind her. I think she's a really good CEO. I don't know how her CFO skills are. Her CMO skills for marketing are good. I don't know. I haven't heard her. I've heard her speak a couple times, but like nothing in depth. But to get to where she is today, and I hate when people like, oh, because of Toto Wolff, and I was like, I don't think you realize Susie Wolff is a very good businesswoman, and she's probably more like aggressive in the boardroom than Toto is, like because she's a woman and she has to do it. Like she kicks a lot of butt, and she's really good at what she does. So I think with this behind, you actually like hit the nail on the head that it's great that she is the one leading this and being the face of it and able to kind of really push and fight for these girls.
Yeah, I think it's a very good thing.
I also can imagine someone else doing this. Like, she is perfect for this.
So, I think we've talked enough about motorsport news. Let's get into you and your story of getting into your place in motorsports. So, of course, we've already slightly introduced you as AshVandelay, but tell us a little bit about yourself if you want, and to tell us a little bit about your role currently in motorsport.
Sure. So currently, I just see myself as a motorsport content creator. I never know what word to use. I think content creator is the most accurate one because I create educational videos on motorsports, whether it's Formula One, IndyCar, IMSA, or talking about like the aero flaps of the NASCAR car, things like that I really try to just explain concepts, races, historical facts about motorsports, and have discussions, and advocate for women in motorsports. That's a huge one. We had a Women in Motorsport Wednesday where we released videos on women in motorsports on Wednesday. What a coincidence. And I got my start through Twitch. I was streaming F1 watch-alongs because I realized there was a niche I could fill in there. So currently I am a content creator with Oracle Redbull Racing. I worked with NASCAR in 2023. Fingers crossed I continue that. And I do currently work with GT World Challenge America, which is sports car racing, and broadly SRO motorsports. So like the Spa 24, Bathurst 12, that's the same SRO motorsports. And I just work with their American division.
Very interesting. I remember you being in the Spa SRO 24 hours and me being like, I wish I could go because I live so close, but I had like that entire weekend already planned fully, so I couldn't. But I'm hoping that maybe this year,
Yeah.
I can go or go to another endurance race in Spa, because I like endurance, but I've never been to a race actually.
Same. I really got into the World Endurance Championship this year. Last season. And it's just, I was thinking about going to Spa, but Spa is with Berlin, and we're also going to Berlin. And Berlin is further away, so Berlin is, Spa, we live like an hour or something like that from Spa. So Spa is like way closer for us, so way easier to decide to go. But yeah.
Just go on a whim.
Yeah. I mean, we could, because there's also a karting track there.
True.
We could go karting.
But we have to have enough people to go karting
I know.
there.
That's true.
Yeah, you said you started on Twitch.
Mhm.
I know you still stream quite a bit on Twitch. What is your favorite thing, like your favorite activity to stream on Twitch?
Ooh, that's a good question. I was gonna say just in general video games, but I really enjoy kind of holding, whether it's debates or conversations, because it's a live chat, right? So we'll go over either motorsports news, or we'll kind of hold a little show essentially where we go through motorsport news, and then I state my opinion. Someone's going to disagree because there's 8 billion people in the world and everyone has their own thoughts and opinions and whatever. And then we just go back and forth, right? People are defending this and that. And then if I don't know it, I don't know everything. And that is okay. I mean, that is fine. And I think sometimes we all forget when we're like in a heated argument. So like I will pull up Google Live and then someone's saying this historical fact. And I was like, I don't think that's right. Or maybe it is right. And I'm like, oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Or no, I'm right. You should apologize. So it's just like having that lively discussion, real-time feedback with people, whether it's we want to discuss women in motorsports and maybe I can convince someone or change someone's mind about what's going on and the root causes and things like that. We'll hold debates on, I think recently was NASCAR track limits or track limits in general. Should they have them? Should they not, from different motorsports? Just lively debates about different things and getting to talk to a community of like-minded individuals, whether they're veterans of the sport and have been in motorsports since birth, or people who are a little bit newer and they just want to learn more, and without a place where I'm going to be like, oh, you can't be in here. Like people will ask follow-up questions. They're like, oh, I didn't know that happened. So just having that lively and live debate and conversation is probably one of my favorite things to do on Twitch. Regardless of, we started watching women's hockey, professional women's hockey in the United States. We just started a league again, so that's also been fun to introduce people into that. So we're all just learning about different things at the same time, which is great.
That does sound really fun. I know I sometimes run into your streams, but then I'm busy, so I just have it on the background. But I always like hear a lot of excitement going on, and it's just always fun to watch, always.
Yeah, I call that my Seinfeld yelling. Yeah, I try not to like yell, but it's just like, what's the big, you're just like, just gotta raise an octave a little bit. You gotta keep it lively. Because American television is like all entertainment, even our news. So everyone's like used to watching. So instead of being everyone, you just gotta be like, hey, this is what we're talking about today. So And I try to have fun at the same time, because motorsports should be fun, right? I know we have these difficult topics and there should be times where we sit down and listen to others, but motorsports is for everyone. Sim racing is for everyone, and we can have fun and be wrong and learn from that, and either apologize or just learn from it and move on and be better and just enjoy the sport.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we should be creating space for everyone and community for everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what do you love most about motorsport from a fan perspective?
Oh, that kind of ties in with my previous answer, is that I've never stopped learning when I'm watching motorsport. Because as an adult, right, like we go through school, and in college, I got to take courses that weren't part of my major. So molecular biology and communications. One was really science, genetics heavy, and one's just, general communications, writing, change management, argumentative stuff, debate. And then I took an astronomy 101 course because I was like, I needed the credits, and I was like, hey, this is cool. And you just learn something new. And I was like, this is awesome. I really enjoyed it. But then you leave college and you have to work, and you don't really take time to learn something new or be forced to sit down and read something. You're kind of in your own bubble, or you just read things that you like and things like that. So I really enjoy motorsports, because the fact is they'll mention something on the broadcast and I'll be like, I have no idea what aerodynamic concept this is. And then I'll just go into a rabbit hole and try to learn, how does this affect the car? So next time you watch something, it's like, oh, I know what that does. They did this, so this is going to happen. So it's the constant Googling of how this works. The weather can change instantly, right, at a racetrack. And then you're like, I'm Googling about the weather. And then I'm a meteorologist
Especially
major.
Spa.
Especially Spa with some microclimate. Yeah. You're like, what tires do they use? Why are some tires better at wet weather? So now I'm Googling kinds of rubber and like coefficient of friction and different kinds of asphalt, because different tracks are made from different things. And you're just like, oh gosh. So there's so many things you can kind of deep dive into if you want, or just quickly read and learn. And that's kind of fun thing about motorsport, that I'm always either Googling something on my phone or talking something with someone in the chat who knows a little bit more than me. And I'm just learning all the time.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea. I love learning, honestly, especially with like the race series constantly being innovative, and the fact that the innovations in racing actually is often the basis for the innovations in actual road cars makes me love it even more, to just keep learning. But yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
Really like that.
you're never too old to learn. Some people are always like, oh, I know everything. No, you don't. No.
Right.
There's always something you don't know.
Yeah, different perspectives too, like whether it's opinion based and things like that, right? Like I think motorsports holds all these conversations of, so you can have any kind of job you want in motorsports, right? Like you have Dr. Julia Visor, who's specifically like she's a doctor in IndyCar, heads up the medical team. She has a degree to do sports medicine and is of course a doctor, right? Like you can be a lawyer, and then you have the other side of it, which is the talks of the politics in motorsports, and then you're like learning different sides about that, and then you're going to having these tough conversations about these sponsors that sponsor these cars, and then the countries that we race in, and then there's something to learn everywhere. And I think that's what really is interesting. It's kind of globally too, so kind of you hear opinions from all around the world.
Yeah, definitely. I love the diversity of jobs and just everything in motorsport as well. And also getting to see the different cultures of the different places where they race, like learning about the world in that way is also something I really love, especially with the content that the teams and the drivers are often shooting in different locations. Like it really shows you how big the world is, while it at the same time is very small.
Yeah. Elizabeth Blackstock had a video series she called Grand Prix Gastronomy, where she made I believe, the national dish of each country that Formula One raced in. So that was really cool to see, and either try to replicate or just learn about different cultures while she like talked through it and explained why this was that way and things like that. So to your point, exactly, kind of just the world is so vast and big. Like I can't visit every country in my lifetime, unfortunately. Well, maybe I can try, I guess, but I can't visit every single country in my lifetime. But I can definitely read about it or learn about them.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I love so much about just motorsport in general, but also just the world in general. Like there's always something new, always something up and coming. So yeah. But so you of course do some race watch-alongs. What does a race weekend generally look like for you most of the times?
Ooh, wow. I've never been asked that question before. I was like, oh my God, what do I do? So definitely throughout the week, because the drivers, I mean, let's say Formula One, because they have their media days, they have, depending on where they're racing, Mexico, you have different, the higher altitude, the air, the engines, different settings. So just following that along and kind of either grabbing the main storylines or doing my research on that and just writing them down. I have like note cards that I use during my show to just read through references, either what was the fastest lap time previously, or stats, records, things like that. So a lot of research, putting together some talking points to discuss with the chat if there's ever a lull or the pre-show, things like that. And then it's just getting up at least either an hour and a half or 2 hours before qualifying and the race. And just getting ready, setting everything up. So I kind of have like this, where you see behind me is my shelf and I'm sitting in my computer chair. But for race watch-alongs, I have like it look like a blue cushy chair that kind of looks like a couch. And we're just watching along together, kind of like, hey, like you're at a friend's house and we're just hanging out, talking about stuff, watching the race together, because not everyone has someone they can watch the race with or a place they can discuss the race. So I kind of try to have that environment. Then we have live timings up. We don't have the race on the screen. That's illegal and I would never do that. Formula One, I'm just saying. So we have the live timings up on the screen, and yeah, we just watch the race together. We try to time it as well as possible because some people have F1 TV, some people watch on Sky, depending on what country they're in or what their provider is. Yeah, then we just talk about the race, have a post-race show. So yeah, a lot of research in the beginning, just have talking points, but otherwise it's kind of just you're hanging out with friends, having discussion, reading out the chat, stating your opinion, having reactions, and things like that. Something I'm going to try this year is maybe break down what happened in a race, if something interesting does happen in a race, on social media, to kind of help people who might be newer to the sport understand like why something was a bad call or why this worked. Like, why did this undercut work? Like, what led to this being able to work, and kind of breaking it down a little bit. Be like, oh, Charles Leclerc was able to, or Ferrari was able to do an undercut because so-and-so like fucked up over here, or this didn't work because they fucked up over here. So kind of bringing that more, hey, if you have any questions or if you're just curious, here's that kind of sports breakdown or of analysis of the race.
Yeah, sounds very fun. I definitely try to see, like, sometimes I can't watch the race live, and then I find it fun to watch streams like that back, just to hear like other people's opinions on it during the race. But yeah, I think usually I watch it with my dad, so I can't really watch like streams or something like that, purely because of watching it with my dad. But I get that some people don't have that, like a lot of people. And then I love that you create a space for them to go, to feel safe and have people to chat about it and everything like that.
Yeah,
Really enjoy that.
it's great. And I think because I'm from New York City and I definitely have like New York City sports just reactions, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, you know, who's like, what just happened? And it's like, oh, never mind, I'm just being dramatic. It's not that big of a deal. I misunderstood. Sorry, everybody. It's just everyone's like, hey, stop yelling. But it's funny when something happens, like time penalties, and then people will come in a chat and be like, well, so and so got this penalty last time, and I'll be like, but you forgot so and so also did this, and that wasn't allowed. It's just funny seeing people come in with like their certain biases and stuff. And I'm not saying I'm not biased. That's not possible, right? But it's just funny people coming in with like certain opinions or certain notions, and they're like just trying to get people angry, and we're just like, hey, we don't really get angry here unless like it's something major like Abu Dhabi 21, which was just ridiculous, right? Yeah. It's just like if someone gets a 5-second penalty, it's not, I don't know, it's just relax. Like, consistency matters. We'll have this discussion, but
I got angry at Qatar purely because of the FIA. I got mad at the FIA.
Not mad at the FIA, honestly.
Good question. I don't know.
The only thing that brings people together.
The hatred for the FIA.
Is there something they did right? I don't think so. There's always something.
Yeah,
like,
and consider
even if it's just small, there's always something.
And considering it's not just F1 with the FIA,
oh, yes,
right?
There's definitely always one form of motorsport that's mad at the FIA.
They just have a
There's no-
PR problem, which they're not good at either. I think Formula One and the FIA, maybe it's like an FIA problem, that they just think they're hot shit and they don't address anything. Because for me, if something went wrong, I'd be like, hey, you're right. We messed up. They never, maybe because saying a sorry is is like admitting fault and like that's a whole legal thing. Whatever the answer is. When you do something wrong, or if you're trying to fix something, right? Like they're trying to either make Formula One more accessible, whatever their reasoning is. They never say, this is what we're doing. This is why it's important. And then show the results and how they're going to follow up with those results. Be like, hey, we learned that there's no women are watching Formula One. This is what we're going to do to fix it. And then in a year, be like, hey, we did these things and this is what happened. Now we have 40% of women fans. Well, 40% of fans are women. They never do that. They just say a bunch of shit and then we never hear about it yet. And you're like, okay, can I trust you? Can I take your word on this? And they never highlight the good things either. They're just constantly talking about nothing. It's a lot of corporate stuff. And I don't know who's running their PR or what's going on. Or maybe they don't have any PR.
I don't know, because they said like that the president wasn't going to the FIA prize giving, and he was there. He was like
he was drunk
there. I don't know why, but it was so funny with Max and I don't know, Horner and I don't know, someone else was needed to come. And he was like, come. And he was like, I was like, you shouldn't be here, and you had a concussion. I don't know why you're here and why you up like this.
Yeah, and like the feeling, the way he was acting at that prize giving ceremony, it was as if he had too much alcohol.
Oh yes.
Which I believe happened the year before as well. But he was calling for Horner and I believe Stefano Domenicali to come back onto the stage because they had walked off already. And the way that he was calling for them, it was so strange.
I know.
It was like, there's no professionalism in this.
No, I was like, you shouldn't be here. The FIA said you wouldn't be here, but okay, you're here, that's fine. But this is strange. Strange behavior.
It's a constant pile-on. Like they constantly keep doing something. Like it seems small. Like that would be small. Be like, oh, he had a rough year. I understand if he's drinking heavily at the award prizing ceremony, but that was on top of other BS that they're saying or other BS that they're involved in. The inconsistency and penalties, the constant just like making things seem minor or like gaslighting us and being like, that's not a big deal. It's like, no, this is a big deal. Like this affects the sport that we love and watch, and you make money off of us for doing like, what is happening?
Yeah, it's insane. Like I always find it so strange that a governing body that has been around for so long and is so big then goes ahead and does like things that shouldn't be able to happen in such a big organization. If you really think of it, like sometimes such unprofessional behavior by the people that work with the FIA that you're like, you're a giant corporation. You're saying things and you're not doing things, which is often for giant corporations. But like, you're saying one thing, you're doing the opposite, and then you're doing the opposite again. Like, make up your mind, you know? But I guess
they want to confuse us. Throw us off our tracks. Be like, what are we doing?
They want to create confounders.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I guess. But that's the FIA. It's a whole different story. It's
a whole other podcast.
It's based in France, which already says enough.
I agree. I'm glad you said that. Those are my exact
She says with a French flag in the background.
I mean, we can as Europeans.
True.
We are allowed.
We love to make fun of the French.
I mean, yes.
Especially the French-speaking Belgians.
Oh,
who are basically French.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So, of course, you work with Red Bull. I always wonder, have you had any crazy interactions with the drivers?
Nothing like nothing crazy or out of the ordinary. I filmed something with Daniel Ricardo, and he's really good at, I think he's really good with, how do I say this, with just other people. He seems like a normal dude when you're just talking to him on one-on-one. But when like the camera turns on and you need him to do, like we were doing a sponsorship video, like he was really good at like automatically, like he had funny quips, like he like turned on a personality and he's like, this is going to be a good video. And like, you know, when he's in it, it's going to work. And he does it right the first time. And I was just like impressed because I was like, oh, he's like a normal dude. Like, why is everyone talking about it? And then we were like filming and he was just boom, like funny. I mean, not that he's not funny in general, but he's like super funny, charismatic. He's just like, this is what we're doing. Like, we're going to get this done. So that was great. I remember the last time I talked to him, I was trying to do a video before his like his schedule was crazy, but I was trying to get a TikTok video. I was trying to do the Bluey airport video. And I was like, hey, Daniel, do you know about Bluey? And he's like, the Australian kids cartoon. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, is that popular here? And then he had to go. So I was like, great. The last time we talked was about Bluey. I was like, great. I don't even know if he's going to remember that, but that was we talked about a kid's cartoon.
It's fun though. I talked about the weather with Nick Cassidy, so can't be worse than that.
But the weather is something everyone has in common. Not everyone watched Bluey. So, or like, we're also in our 30s and we're talking about Bluey. And he's like, my nieces and nephews watch that. Why are you talking about this? And I was like, okay, sorry. I was able to do a little video shoot with Christian Horner and ask him a couple questions, which was really nice because that worked out really well. And the reason I say that is because they have, like, I've been to Miami, Austin, and Vegas, and Montreal. There's a PDF of like their schedules, and it is such an intense chart. They don't have on full names; they just have initials, so SP, MV, right, CH, because like it can't fit with all the stuff they have to do, and everything's timed like to like when you see them like on F1 TV and you're like, are they okay? No, because they just had a full day of talking to GQ and like answering the same questions and like doing all of this since the morning and working out and doing race debriefs. And then after this, they have to go talk to a Barstool Sports about the same questions you just asked them. And like they don't stop, and it's insane. So the fact that we were filming something with Redbull Canada in Montreal, Christian Horner, one of our sim racing drivers, Josh, and myself, which was really fun. And then I had 2 minutes to interview Christian Horner about stuff, which was really cool. I did ask him his thoughts about NASCAR, and he was just like, what? Like, not in a rude way, but was just like usually I get asked questions about Formula One, like, why are you talking about NASCAR? He just answered it really well. He was just joking around it. So I appreciate that he said yes to the interview, because he could have just been like, no, like I'm already doing 100 other things. So that was cool. But no, yeah, nothing crazy, just interesting to see the behind the scenes stuff of how things work, and everything's put together and everything's really flawless, and how not well taken care of, but essentially, like, I know the drivers, they need to worry about driving. Christian Horner needs to worry about being a team principal and doing those things. Everything else, there's people there to not help them with it, but like it's lunchtime, like we're bringing you to get food so you don't have to think about it. Like, does that make sense? Like, I'm sure Taylor Swift has like a whole team of people that gets her groceries, that does her stuff for her, just so she doesn't have to worry about those small things. Like they have people that like help think about, like, this is where you have to go next. Like, don't worry about it. Like, just follow me. Like, just do this. Like, here's your schedule. Just follow around. I was like, wow, that's insane. Like, no wonder they're exhausted by the time they're being interviewed on F1 TV, like post race. They're like, the 2-hour race was probably the best thing that they did, because they didn't have to talk to anybody. Like, they just got to do what they loved.
I mean, they had to talk to their engineer.
Yeah, and they're like, this guy I love. This is the best person I know. Like, great. I'm so excited to be here and only talk to one person about the sport that I competed, instead of getting asked like these. I'm sure doing the social media videos gets, after so many races, especially this year, it's just, I
get why Alex and Max have not been fond of the marketing.
It's rough. And it's a double-edged sword, right? Because we have this issue in NASCAR, or fans are like, hey, drivers don't have personalities, we never see them. But drivers don't want to do it, which is fine. Like, that's their prerogative. They were hired to drive because they drive well, they drive quickly, they know certain things and certain strategies. But then if a driver complains that their merch isn't selling, or they're not popular, or they're not getting the best TV interview slot for post-race interviews, you're not putting yourself out. Like, is that fair? I think that's an interesting discussion to have of, well, do they have to do this? Like, I'm sure Max would rather just sim race and hang out with his cats and just maybe drive GT3s all day. But like he knows he has to do this stuff to promote the race and the brand, and like he will do that for the team. But I'm sure all these drivers would rather be doing other things or less formal interviews in such like a timely, strict, scheduled fashion. It's just like a hard catch-22.
Yeah, I think like when we still had Ziggo, whenever Max was interviewed by the Ziggo team, it was always like so laid back, and he generally seemed to enjoy it. And when I then like from the same races saw clips online from like Sky and stuff like that, I was like, but he shows his personality in the Dutch media. What do they do different to appeal to him compared to the others, besides being his national media, of course?
Yeah, I think it'd be just a cultural thing, right? Like when he says something sarcastically in Dutch, right? Like, you know, it's a joke, but if it gets translated to me, I'm like, wow, what an asshole, right? Like I just don't have that understanding, and translations are terrible. So my family's Polish. We'll watch Polish drama shows, and sometimes there'll be captions on, depending if my mom forgets to turn off or not. And then I'll read the English captions and listen to the Polish words, and I'll be like, that's not what he said, or that's not what they meant. But like that's the closest translation you can do. So I think it's definitely a cultural thing where he can say certain things without getting like misconstrued, or they understand him, blah, blah, blah. Like people say Kimi is always rude when he was just finished. Like he's just like, this is normal. Like he's just serious. Or like everyone's like, wow, Americans talk so much, they never shut up. But it's like, no, like we talk to strangers all the time. It's like, how's your day going? Hello, I like your shoes. Like we'll randomly compliment people. So it's definitely, I think, a cultural aspect that I think sometimes people forget about in Formula One. That not everyone has like this, we're all raised the same way, and like we're all have the same sarcasm or jokes or sense of humor. Like Christian Horner, I didn't realize like how dry his humor was till I met him in person, and like he was practicing something behind the scenes before doing something for Redbull USA, and I was like, oh, this makes so much more sense now. Like F1 TV definitely does not do you any justice. Like everyone thinks you're like not a nice dude, and I was like, not saying I agree with everything he said. He said some interesting questions, but then then I was like, this is so weird. Like even watching the Netflix show and like seeing these drivers and then seeing them in person, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, how did this get misconstrued so badly on one thing and another? It's just when you're there in person or you meet them in person, you're like, these are people. Just like you and I, when you're talking to your friends, it's just, they just happen to hold these positions that we like to get entertained by, or like so much that we hold to a certain standard. And either put on a pedestal or on that, depending what driver, etc. So it's just so interesting to see them just like, oh, they're a person. You realize they're like, oh, you know, I gotta be careful with my words. Like I can't say certain things. And then, when Max, I think Max sucked in the Dutch media, he's just, I think it's just comfortable talking your native language. I'm sure if I got interviewed in Polish, like I'd be definitely a lot less outgoing than speaking English, just because it's more natural for me, and the jokes that I say and my vernacular and things like that is a lot more casual. And I just speak English more often than I do Polish anymore with my parents. So I think it's just vastly different.
Yeah. Although I do feel like it depends on like the interviewer itself as well, because from what I've seen, like from the current like we went from Ziggo Sport to Viaplay in the Netherlands, and the people working from Viaplay are not the same people who used to do the Ziggo Sport commentary and interviews. And I definitely do see a switch in the comfortableness of Max, but also other drivers when they're speaking to Viaplay, compared to the comfortableness they had when they were still speaking to the Ziggo Sport crew. Like I remember this one interview with Seb and Max from Spa, I think like 2016, 2017, somewhere around that time. And like it was the German versus the Dutch. And Seb got a question like, what Dutch food would he rather eat, or something like that. And like when we then had the race in Zandvoort, the first one, Jack Ploy was still able to come to the race, and he showed up with the Dutch food that Sebastian had said was his preferred one, because Jack had promised it to him, and like the kikiki ra came from Zigo as well, like things like that. It's just, I always felt like they had a different type of communication and comfortableness with the drivers compared to some of the other people who are in the paddock.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's just you're used to these people more, or they do more interviews with them, maybe even off the track, like when they can go back in the off season, things like that. But that's a good point. I wonder if it's comfortability, or like I've never talked to you, or maybe like, hey, I know your opinion about me. Like I don't want to, like I'm not going to say anything to you because you're going to misconstrue it and like turn it around.
Yeah,
so that's a good point.
I think there's definitely like a mix of it. There's definitely the British media bias that is negative to like almost all drivers who aren't British or British
Pop
born.
off. Thank you.
I
I
mean,
can't say that I'm American.
we've seen it with Sebastian Vettel. We've seen it with Michael Schumacher. We've seen it with Nico Rosberg. We've seen it now for the past couple of years with Max. And we've seen it towards Valtteri as well. We've seen it towards Charles Leclerc. But that he then has the Italian media backing him. So like there's a lot of stuff going on. And of course, if your driver is from a certain country and the media from that country is gonna be positive towards that driver. I've seen the Lewis Hamilton hatred in the media in the Netherlands after 2021, also during 2021, that I'm like, it's not justified, but it's there and we can't do anything about it. But often it starts after there is already bias from the British media in a negative way. But yeah, that's what I've noticed a lot.
Don't worry, there's no Logan Sargent bias here. Sorry, Logan. I feel like he's always catching strays from me. I feel so. Oh, actually, I don't feel bad.
Yeah, I feel like there's just certain places where there's definitely certain biases.
And I wonder if that effect is just 10 times, I don't want to say worse. So for me, being from New York City, I was born and bred to hate Boston. Sorry if anyone from Boston is listening to this podcast. It's just the way it is. Yankees, Red Sox, like our sports, our towns, like it's always been a thing, right? And recently one of the coaches, Bill Belichick, from the New England Patriots, retired. One of the coaches from the American football team of the Boston. And then a New York news was writing a headline on Twitter and wrote, Bill Belichick, who lost to the New York Giants twice or like something in the Super Bowl. Like they were making fun about how he lost to New York City as opposed to just saying that he's retiring, right? Like they made sure to add that in there, even though they were a news source that should have been somewhat unbiased, but it was adding to that New York versus Boston thing. And there's like that in the United States. There's a lot of city on city like jokes or rivalries, or schools, Ohio State, Michigan. You can think of college football as well. But I think when you're taking this, there's like a global aspect. And that's the thing about sports, right? Like the tribalism. Like I am a New York sports fan, no matter where they are in the world. Like if it's New York Yankees versus if one day the World Series actually goes across the world versus anyone in a team in Poland, I am still a New Yorker. Like that is regardless of what's happening, blindly and very biasly. But I wonder if in the world, when we're doing that tribalism of now we're doing countries against countries, or it's just become so much more like, okay, like this is becoming maybe a little xenophobic. Maybe we should like kind of relax here. Like it's one thing for me to be from Boston and New York City. It's another thing to be like, oh, like I hate Alpine just because they're French. And it's like, all right, relax.
I mean,
whoa.
Here we have in Europe, at least from my experience, there's like little rivalries between countries. We always say like there's a reason why the Brits are on an island. But almost all the countries make fun of Belgium. We shit a lot on Germany, especially during Eurovision.
Wow.
the French have certain stereotypes that are not positive. Same with the Spanish and the Italians, but the same with the Dutch. Like the Dutch are known for being direct, and it's often not seen for many people unless they've visited the Netherlands how direct the Dutch people actually are. Like it's insane. But we have like these small rivalries between countries, and I think the wars and everything definitely did not help that. But yeah.
Would you say there's small rivalries? Because I think if it's like country on country bias, where you're like, yeah, these French people, it's like,
I mean, it's definitely like, I live very close to the Belgian and German border, and I'm like, I refuse to date a German or a Belgian purely out of principle.
Oh no, I'm not that bad. I mean, I wouldn't date a German because it wouldn't work because my German is bad, but I don't care.
Let me rephrase it to a French-speaking Belgian, by the way.
Okay.
A
add that
Dutch-speaking
extra,
Belgian,
yeah.
a
I don't
Dutch-speaking
mind.
Belgian, I don't mind. Like a Flemish person, I don't mind. But a French-speaking Belgian, they are worse than the French.
Oh, that's true.
And that says a lot.
Interesting. Taking notes here.
But yeah, there's definitely some like rivalries between countries. They're not serious, but they are definitely going on. And in sports, you can definitely see that a lot. Like Spain versus the Netherlands in football, it's not no good. No bueno.
Yeah, when it's country versus country like that, I think it's something. I think it just gets doubled down into a very quick. I don't want to say it falls apart. I don't want to say it gets nasty fast, but it gets really intense very quickly, as opposed to being like, oh, like so and so, like from Boston, like that guy, you know, the Boston sports fans are being obnoxious, and like that's fine. And I think the way we're thinking about it might be a little bit different. I know, for example, my mom, she was born and raised in Poland. Like she is Polish Catholic. She only knows Polish. Her heritage is Polish. Like her identity is Polish. So it's one thing when someone goes to her and be like, you know, Polish people, like they're just whatever. But like to us in the United States, like I did not. I mean, sure, I grew up in the Catholic Church, but I don't practice myself anymore, and I'm mostly American, like Polish American. Sure, I can speak Polish, but my identity is rooted in many different things, especially like my city. So it's not that big of a deal if you're like, New York, you guys are always obnoxious sports fans and you buy your players, blah blah, whatever the stereotype is. Like I'm not gonna get personally offended. Like it's not that big of a deal. Like we're gonna tiff about it. But then if you come to me and you're like, yeah, like Americans are fucking stupid, I'm like, well, what? Jesus, like why are you saying these stereotypes like that are so rude? So I think when you do like the country on country stuff in Formula One or globally in WEC or IMSA, and you're like, these Italians, and you're like, okay, why are we making fun of all Italians? Like, geez, like that's so intense. And I mean, like our perspective here, because the city and city thing is different. Like it's not just our whole identity, but like when you do country to country, especially in Americans, like we find that so intense and just like unnecessary. Be like, yeah, some Americans are dumb, like that's fine, but like why are you grouping all of us in here? Like what did we do?
I mean, I've looked at Harvard entry tests and math tests and stuff, and it's stuff that I learned in one of the first couple of years of high school. And I think especially like tests like, oh, Harvard is this big bossy school because it's like Ivy League and it's like known for being like very smart people and stuff like that. It's difficult.
Is it known for being smart people? Because it's not in the United States. It's known for being very rich people.
It's especially rich people, but it's like also known for like, oh, it's one of the more prestigious universities in the United States. Same with Yale and the other
Ivy Leagues, Princeton, Columbia,
Brown, like all of them. They're like, oh yeah, they're supposedly very important big schools, and then you look at the tests and they're like, oh yeah, I learned that in high school, and they're learning that in university. Okay.
Well, the entry test is what. Well, you need that to get in, so you learn that in high school.
I believe it was not just the entry tests. It was like actual tests that were done during the school year as well, that people compared, like exchange students compared it to their regular math tests from here, and they were like, this is insane how much easier it is.
Sure, but is college the point of taking tests or getting questioned on like learning how to think and learning how to make your own assumptions, right? Like, I mean, we can argue about this at house at home. I don't want to defend Harvard University. Like,
It's like
that's a whole thing in itself. But we can look at universities like MIT, Masters in Technology, things like that. And yeah, I'm sure there's some universities that are harder, some subjects that are different. Like, I'm not taking a partial differential.
Yeah,
calculus.
but I think like that especially helps with like the stereotype and then the people that are calling like Europe is a country, stuff like that. Like, it's not, but go ahead, keep thinking that. Things like
yeah,
that.
but when you take one thing from when you're like, oh, you hear someone on TikTok say Europe is a country, then you say all Americans are dumb. It's like, no, you just found the one American who was like wasted.
The thing, yeah, but that's the thing. Like, so many people keep debunking stuff like this and like showing like, oh yeah, I've experienced with like people that traveled here that were like, I thought I was going to Australia when they went to Austria, vice versa, stuff like that.
That's
like
funny because
it's funny. It's very funny.
Imagine you thinking you're going to Australia where it's warm, like, and then you're landing in Austria where it's like
They have a
cold.
special desk for those people.
But I think that's so funny. Imagine you're traveling and you're like, oh, sun, beach, and then you're like, oh, mountains.
Yeah, but you're automatically assuming those people that do that are all American when it's all the various people across the world, right? Like,
no, but a lot of the people that like get called out on it are American. That's the problem. Like, it's known that it's not just Americans, but the people that keep continuously getting called out on it are the Americans. In my opinion, like, I've met so many Americans that are fucking smart, and I'm fucking proud of what they do and everything. And the thing is, just like stereotypes and stigmatizes, they're a thing. We cannot escape them, unfortunately, because everyone has their own opinions and own experiences. But I do think like it needs to change. The same with the fact that people keep complaining like, we don't need 3 American races. When I think like the US is like the entirety of Europe fits in the US. Europe has so many races, and like still I believe Europe almost completely fits into Alaska, because Alaska is massive.
Yeah, not a lot of people live in it, which is what the counter argument is. But yet still, landmass wise,
but
for
still,
sure,
like,
and population still, yeah.
And population just in general of the US, like, if you go looking in the Netherlands, I believe like 10,000 people are already and living in one place are already considered a city. In the US, it's like triple or something at least, if not more. And I'm like, what lives in one country in the Netherlands sometimes lives in one city in the US. And I'm like, you cannot compare that to each other. And I think like it's good that the US gets 3 races. I just think there are so many already purposely built racetracks that they could use that are great, that might have been better than especially Miami.
Yes. It's not the country. I mean, country's kind of the problem. It's mostly the street courses that are the problem.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, the current F1 cars are not built for street courses.
We see that in Monaco all the time. We also have 47 more states that we need races in. So, so we got plenty. We got plenty of space that we can use. But yeah, the counter argument of that is right. It's like we're comparing America to Europe, and people are like, you're versus a continent versus a country. And I was like, okay, fine. Let's take North America. Let's just add Canada and Mexico to this. Fine, we're just twice as big as you, like 3 times. Like, you're not helping your argument when you do that, landmass wise, population wise, money wise, marketing wise, etc. And then
it doesn't matter. Like, I think the quality of races definitely could be better if you choose different circuits.
The issue isn't where it is. It's quality of races, exactly to your point. Less street courses, exactly to your point. And I don't understand why I mean, logistically, I know there's going to be a whole thing, but maybe in 5 years we do another set of races in a different country for 10 years, in different countries for 10 years. Then we rotate the calendar again. Like, I don't know why or maybe rotate out certain races. And then people are going to say tradition. And then I'm going to tell you that the US Grand Prix is older than the British Grand Prix, that Monaco, whether you want to believe it or not, you can go Google it, how old the American Grand Prix actually is. The American Grand Prize is what we call it. So also the modern Formula One is only 74 years old. Like, it's not that, like, what are we defending? Who cares? Just
what I'm also thinking, like, especially with things like Monaco, Baku, Singapore, like just all the street tracks that are known for being on the calendar. If you look at Monaco, Formula One last year had 22 overtakes. Qualifying and strategy is everything there. When you look at, for example, Formula E, which are cars that are literally built for street courses, they race almost exclusively on street courses. There's like, I believe, 3 or 4 permanent tracks on the calendar now this year. Like, they had like 116 overtakes in Monaco last year. They can go 2-3 wide through the hairpin, where one Formula One car already struggles going through the hairpin. Like, it's insane. And I think, like, if you want to promote street courses, at least make it so that the car is either lighter and smaller, because this way it's not working with the street courses, because it's just too narrow. A lot of crashes that don't, in my opinion, they don't add extra excitement. They only, of course, the yellow flags and the red flags and the safety car and virtual safety car, they add a bit of excitement, because, like, when is the race going to start again? Who's going to pit? Who isn't? Stuff like that. But besides that, in my opinion, like, the crashes that are happening at the street tracks in Formula One are unnecessary, and it's purely because there's not enough space to go around each other. And I think if you choose permanent tracks, it's often a lot easier to do more with less, you know? Because you don't have to build an extra track, so you're saving money in that aspect, and you're also not doing anything negatively sustainability-wise, because you're saying as F1 you want to promote sustainability, but at the same time you're putting so many gases and stuff into the air because you want to produce a new racing track, and you want to have them work on it like as fast as possible and stuff like that. You're like, why are you doing it? Ethically, it's often not great either. So I'm like, why are we even considering it instead of just racing on permanent tracks? But yeah, that's at least my opinion on current issues with F1 that a lot of people tend to see, but they don't know where to go. But yeah.
I agree. The street courses, I mean, I really enjoyed Vegas more than Miami, and that, I think that was just overall, as like, Miami is, I don't want Miami to cancel me, but whatever. It's just hard to get to. Vegas, you could walk, take the tram. It was just like a walkable city environment. It was just nice that I can just walk from my hotel to the track. I can leave the track, get dinner somewhere else. It was just very, like, once you're there, it was just fine overall. On the track stuff, the staff there, everything was great. It was just a fun, it was a fun Grand Prix. Like, I honestly think they could do better. There's always something that could be improved, but overall my experience in Vegas was a lot more, I think, enjoyable than Miami, even for the street courses or what it was. They did a good job. The street courses, I mean, we'll see in 2026. I gotta analyze that a little bit better, because they're like, oh yeah, smaller cars, and I was like, it says millimeter. I was like, how much smaller are all these cars? Like, is this going to make such a big of a difference? And that I haven't read well into, so my opinion is ignorant.
I think weight is also a bigger issue than the size of the car for a lot of them.
So, we'll look into that more, but we'll see ourselves in 2026 if that actually helps. But the whole where races should be, I think the biggest issue is, one, diversify the calendar of the type of racetracks that we have. And also location. Like, if we're doing these street courses, then I I think maybe that's what they're maybe aiming to do, because street courses, right, they're not permanent. So you can just pick up the Miami street course and take it to Barcelona, take it to South Africa, and then just do it in different places. And this is our street course, whether we want to or not, and whatever the plan is. But bleh, that's not fun to watch.
Yeah, I think with the street courses, there's definitely an issue, at least with the current cars. Because I've back in 2016, 2017, 2018, when we still had like the smaller cars, I enjoyed street courses a lot. But now the car got bigger, heavier. It didn't help with it, like with the fun of the racing. I also think there's too many races on the calendar.
Yeah, that's huge. The too many races, you're absolutely right.
I think like 18 to 20 races is the sweet spot, preferably around 18 at most, because then the results from the races actually keep actually having input at the races. Like last year or the year before, when Max had a DNF or whatever, it didn't matter because he had such a strong lead
right
in the championship that it was like, oh yeah, he can DNF. He has like 200 more points than Checo. It doesn't matter. Like he can go ahead and enjoy just strolling around, you know? I'm like, if you have less races, you can especially see that in the endurance championship where they have like 8 races, I think. Like every race result counts. If you have like a DNF, it just immediately leads to issues with the championship already, especially if you're in a championship contending position and your championship opponent is winning the race. Like you can already see like a big difference there. So I think that's also something that definitely needs to be looked at. I'd rather have like keep some of the current races, you know, but rotate them with each other. Like this year you'll do Spa and Budapest. That year you'll do Austria and Zandvoort, stuff like that, you know. But I guess that's difficult with making the deals with the tracks and organization wise and stuff like that. But in my mind, it would excite me a bit more, and at the same time, like it would add more opportunities for maybe new tracks to come in or old tracks to come back, stuff like that, you know. And maybe fit the Indy 500 into the calendar again.
Woo. I mean, Fernando Alonso still can't win it. Anyway, yeah, I definitely, it's hard on the staff. I will admit, regardless if I have an inside scoop or if you're just able to talk to someone who works in Formula One, it's exhausting. And then there's that argument, well, it's a dream job. And I was like, yeah, but then you're the person who misses out on family events. You miss out on birthdays. You miss out on family weddings, funerals. You miss out on, there's no days, you can't not go. I mean, unless you just don't go and lose your job, the dream job you so want. You miss out on like hanging out with your friend, like you all those things. You're in constant different time zones. It's hard. It's exhausting. I don't know how to emphasize like how difficult it is for the same staff over and over. And the fact that in Formula One, they don't get paid that well. They get paid maybe like median salary, if not below average, because SpaceX does this too in the United States, where it looks cool on a resume. So everyone wants to work at SpaceX if you're in aerospace, but they don't pay that much because they know you're just here to look good on a piece of paper. Anyway, Formula One knows that. The teams, they pay average, slightly below average. So you're not, it's not crazy. You're not going to be rolling in dough. You're traveling so much on red eyes, constantly changing time zones, like especially when they have those back-to-back weeks. The turnover is really high in Formula One, regardless if it's switching teams or just leaving. It's hard. And a lot of stuff happened last year throughout various teams of different members leaving and going. And we constantly see job openings in the beginning of the year or end of the year open up. So it's rough mentally. You just want to be in your own bed. You don't know where you are sometimes. I've heard stories of people waking up and they forget what country they're in and what race they're at. It sounds cool for a little bit, and you're like, yeah, this is a dream job. And then you're like, oh, this is maybe the 10th circle of hell that I never thought of, because it sounds nice to travel everywhere, but you're also not visiting these cities to be a tourist. You're going to your hotel and you're going to the racetrack. That's it. You're not visiting. You're not taking in the sights. There's no time. You got to go to the racetrack and that's all you see. And then you go to sleep because you're in there all day, depending if you're press or media. And then forget about it for strategy drivers. You got curfews, you got training. It's just not, it's so crazy that they're pushing so many, they're pushing more races when it should be the 18 sounds great. Honestly, it just sounds nice. Calendar and stuff. It's wild. It's so much for everyone involved.
I also
think they forget that that doesn't start on Friday. They're working just normal hours.
They get their Monday
normal days. Yes, people forget that. I have seen arguments on Twitter about that, oh, but you're getting paid to work for F1. I'm like, you have no clue how hard these people work. You have no freaking clue.
Yeah. People have literally asked me if I wanted to work in F1, and I was like, I'd rather not, because then I feel like I will lose my passion for the sport. Because I think yes, you need a certain amount of interest in what you want to do, but if you make your hobby into your job, I feel like at a certain point you'll reach your breaking point and you're like, why did I do this? Why did I ruin what was pleasurable for me? And indeed, as you said it, make it my 10th hell.
You might want to consider an office job. I mean, not that's ever going to be normal hours. You don't get overtime. You're working X number of hours a week. There's no, I don't know if you guys do overtime in Europe. I have no idea, but there's no additional pay because you're working more hours. You're flying in on Monday sometimes, putting together your events, depending where you're working, or you're flying on the red eye. And then the next day you're straight into either training or strategy or race conversations and stuff like that. You're immediately at the track preparing for the race. And then you're taking the red eye back home Sunday night or maybe Monday. And then when they get back on Sunday or Monday, they have to go in the office on Tuesday. It's not like, oh, take a break because you were in the United States for 3 weeks. No, they go straight into the office the next day because they have to debrief for everything the next time. It's just not, it sounds glamorous and maybe we can all do that when we were 18 and had no strings attached, but then you come back and you realize you have no friends. You have you've missed out on these family events. Your niece and nephew turned 1, 2, 3, 4. You missed all of that. You're not there in the family photos. They don't know your name. You've missed out on big milestones and your people that you're supposed to care about lives. And then you're like, oh, aren't you coming to my birthday? It's like, well, you haven't been here for 4 years. I don't know where you are. It becomes hard.
Yeah,
it is hard.
It's not a form of sustainable employment.
Absolutely not.
And it's just it's so romanticized.
Yeah.
And I think especially for me, following Break and hearing his stories on why he quit and everything made me realize it's a lot more difficult for the teams than it is shown in the media.
Yeah.
We only get to see such a small amount of what is actually going on for most of the team members. Of course, we get shown the team principals, the drivers, and occasionally their personal trainers, but that's about it. That's about all we see, basically, most of the time. And often the content creators for the teams, they get to go into the city and explore a little bit just purely to shoot content. But the rest of the team is working at the racetrack on ungodly hours, flying back and forth, barely having a break for themselves, things like that. It's insane. And I get why so many people are leaving this industry.
Yeah.
Because it's just not a form of sustainable.
Or just going to sports car racing, which is a couple of races a month, or just something more sustainable. There are local tracks, or just engineering jobs or consulting jobs that they can do. That's not just motorsport. Yeah, the turnaround is, to your point, is it's huge. And yeah, again, to your point, which is a good one, that a lot of content creators or those celebrities, you see like the Paddock Club. And I, for one, have not been to the Paddock Club. I will just make that very clear. They won't let me in. It's yeah, it looks cool if you are the celebrity walking in and doing all that stuff. But yeah, and then you kind of feel for the teams, regardless if it's, of course, me being a corporate chill, I kind of feel bad for those guys who late night had to maybe fix a car, do whatever. They're on the grid and they're getting booed. And you're like, and they're like, dude, like I just flew in last night. I had 2 hours of sleep. I don't know what country I'm in. Like, leave me alone. Like, I'm not doing anything besides standing here doing my job. Like, why are you booing me? It's just like, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, oh my God. And then I've heard other stories from other teams. Like, everyone like there's a group like everyone knows each other in the paddock, like in the garages. Like everyone's walking around regardless of what team you're just like, hey, like you see each other, you're being there for your birthdays because you're all in the paddock celebrating, because there's stuff like that. So yeah, everyone knows everyone. And yeah, people have worked from numerous different teams switching around. There's like all this camaraderie and stuff like that. They kind of are a traveling circus together and are each other's either support system or just trying to get through it all a little bit differently. So yeah, it gets a little difficult. And yeah, at the end of the day, it is cool. You want to see your team succeed. You are a part of something that a lot of people care about. But then you're sitting in your hotel room on the road the 300th day out of 365, and you're like, yeah, I want to be home now. And people stop yelling at me on social media about working for this team instead of working for this team. It's just like, thanks so much. Like, I'm just trying to do my job.
Just trying to live my life, earn my wage, and
look, I didn't ask to be born, but now I gotta pay taxes. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, I gotta pay rent, apparently. Like, it's just
apparently life is expensive.
Yeah, there's someone on my Instagram. Well, God bless them, right? Like they're nice, but they're always like, when are you gonna work with Mercedes? And I was like, I don't know. Why are you asking me? They haven't talked to me. They haven't approached me. You go ask them. Like, I don't know. Redbull is the only one who's ever approached me, and they're like, hey, this is what we enjoy about your content. This is what we want to do. Do you agree with? And we've had some difficult conversations. And I was like, I'm not okay with this. What are we going to do about this? I've learned a lot of things. And I was like, great, this makes me okay with it. I can accept payment from you, understanding all of these things that we just now discussed. Like, no other team has come to me and be like, hey, we want to do this.
Yeah, it's always difficult. And
and I'm the last one who should be complaining. Like, I'm one of those content creators, right? They get to sit in the Redbull, whatever, right? So, and then it just, when you're driving in with the team, it's just like so interesting to hear their stories, and like they're constantly working on the phone. Something's happening on WhatsApp. So seeing how the sausage is made has, to your point, made me be like, oh, Formula One. I was like, I don't know if I want to work here. I definitely like sports car racing a little bit more, or spec MX-5, the Miata, or the GR86 races and stuff like that. It's just Formula One, and seeing and hearing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. You're like, geez, like these people can't catch a break regardless what team you're on. It's like always something. Something's always like a fire drill, and then someone's coming, and then like the F1 wants this and the press wants that, and then it's black.
Yeah, I could never see myself working actually in the F1 paddock.
Many times I've been like, can I help? Like, I have a background in comms. Like, can I help you with your job? Like, I'm here. Like, can I help carry things? Like, I'll unload this for you. Like, I feel terrible. And it's like, you can only do so much to, it's just like, no, like we're going to be here till 2 a.m. We're going to be here till midnight. There's someone who works in the press, and there's like another, they're like a press officer on the team. I forgot the official title, so excuse me. They have a boss in the UK, and they have to stay up on UK time, but also be at the track in case like news happens, and they need to like send it to Europe or write something for the United States of where there are, and then send that over there, or something needs to be changed that the UK team noticed at their time zone, and you're in the United States or you're in another part of the world in Asia. You need to be up to fix it because you're in control of this. It's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't.
It's insane.
It's insane.
It's terrible.
Yeah. Like, and I'm sure someone's going to hear this and be like, it's not that bad. You're like, yeah. But you can always say that. But you got to think about the reality of it. There's always good parts, but there's always bad parts, to your point, that you can't romanticize and that aren't talked about, I think, enough when people are like, I want to work in Formula One, and I would die to have your job.
Yeah, literally. And I think like the ones that are saying like I would die for that job, once they actually experience it, I think they will also, like, for a longer period of time, they will also start to think differently.
Once you're on your third misconnection flight trying to get to whatever country and your luggage is in another country and you have no idea what day it is, you're going to be like, never mind. Maybe I am dead. Maybe this is hell. Like, I don't know. Like,
that gives me Big Dennis vibes, because he's
True.
always struggling with his flights. Like, his flights are either delayed, cancelled. I believe he had to take a bus somewhere because there was no flight going anymore. So he had to go to a different airport and stuff like that. And you're like, yeah,
No.
never mind. I'll just not travel to the races anymore, you know?
And the
also
Dakar
for
rally is happening, and someone's
Yeah.
motorcycle was stuck in customs, so they had to drive from where they are in the desert to the airport to get their motorcycle to race in Dakar with a bunch of people and like deal with this like customs issue, whatever the customs issue, whether they drive it all the way back. It's like, oh my God, like
traveling and motorsports sometimes don't go well together.
No. It's insane. Like, whenever I see, like, even Formula 2 drivers now, they're like flying to the UK, flying back to the Netherlands, flying to Italy, flying back to the Netherlands, flying to Spain, flying to wherever. Like, they're constantly going up and down and everywhere. And I'm like, how do you do it while still keeping up with your health, food, everything, like schedule wise?
Yeah, and
It's
staying sane.
Yeah, I genuinely wonder how they're staying sane.
yeah, the drivers are one thing, right? And like I understand, like I feel bad for them, but I also understand they're getting people are going like, oh, they get paid billions to do this. This should be their only job.
Yeah,
I don't know. You can still have empathy towards a human. Like I understand so and so gets paid millions of dollars, but damn, like just traveling so much is still a pain in the ass. Like
yeah,
like you can still have some kind of empathy for this, but then you think of the staff, the event staff, the garage folks, folks just put together everything before they even get there.
yeah. It's absolutely insane. And it was like, I think Andretti Formula E
Mhm.
last year uploaded a video of like what they did in a race weekend, and it was like, oh yeah, on Tuesday the cargo arrives. Wednesday we build up the car, and it comes like in these big DHL packed boxes.
Yeah, DHL.
And like on the Saturday or Sunday, depending like when the race is, after the race, like even during the race, we already start breaking stuff down so that it can be shipped immediately to the next location, because like sometimes they have like a month between races, you know? Like they'll have to get all of it like away already during the race, whatever they can, to be as efficient as possible. And like, I get that you have like certain staff members specifically for that, but like it's just insane how much it baffles me. We saw it in Monaco, I think,
Mhm.
because we went to the Formula E race last year together. And of
Nice.
course, on the Saturday was the race. And on the Sunday, when we went to Monaco, we walked like down the harbor, and like everything like in the pit boxes was completely
Was
gone
gone.
already. Like it was gone by Sunday afternoon, but it was already like being broken down on the Saturday already.
Actually, I asked this question about because they have to put for Formula One certain things in shipping containers before the season even starts to get to the next set of races, where they are. And I forget how early they do it, but for next year, they immediately have to start doing things in like maybe like shipped it in like January or beginning of February. Like they have to already have thought about this and accounted for everything that might have been lost during the regular year. Stuff goes missing, stuff breaks. So there's no off season. Like you're constantly thinking about forget about racing in the car and the engineering behind it, like the logistics of just moving this many people and taking care of your team and making sure there's stuff's there by the time you're there.
It's insane. It baffles me, honestly. Like how much has to be placed to other places and how much is used and all of that. Like in Rome last year, we were unsure if all of the drivers could make it onto the grid, because Formula E is known for having a lot less car parts.
Mhm.
And they literally had some teams have to share reserve parts, and it's insane. Like, we were genuinely worried, like, are they all gonna show up on the Sunday onto the grid?
Yeah.
But yeah, enough about the negativity.
Yeah, it does sound like a lot of negative, but I think to your point, like, we romanticize so much of it. I think having these conversations and be like, hey, there's also, it's cool, right? Like, you get to a race and it's fun. You see your friends and the racing's great. And we all know that. That's why we watch it every single. So we get up early, depending where it is in the world. Like, we get it. We love it. And I think that's why we can just be like, hey, like, we respect what you guys do. But I think these people who, I mean, it's their job and I'm sure they love it and they'll leave when they're ready to leave. But no one's talking about that side, or no one's mentioning like, hey, you guys on the internet, on your Twitter sphere, comfortable at home, not traveling thousands and thousands of hundreds of miles a year, like, this is so easy, like, this looks so fun, I bet I could do this. And it's like, hey, let's give a little bit more credit to the people. We're talking about
my dad travels a lot through the Netherlands, and like occasionally to the top of the Netherlands, and even sometimes he has like little trips to the UK, and I'm like always wondering, like, how do you do it genuinely? Like, how do you keep up with all the travel time and all of the traffic and getting to and where you're staying and all of that? And I'm like, it's insane, like, how well planned out everything is in Formula One. But yeah, it's, on the one hand, sounds like a lot of negativity indeed, but on the other hand, it's good to have the conversation, as you said, because I feel like it's indeed a part that gets neglected often.
Yeah, if you want to hear about the fluffy bullshit, watch Formula One TV, all right, during the season. That's all happy and go lucky and hunky dory, all right? If you want the real shit, you can listen to your favorite podcasts like this one.
Yeah, the thing is, I think it's also good that we talk about negative stuff, because if you only hear the good stuff, you forget there is negative. And it only gets better if you talk about the negative, because you can address it. Otherwise, you can't.
Yeah. So I have a question that I always am curious to hear, like, what people say for this. So, what is the best advice that you have ever given, and what is the best advice that you have ever gotten?
Ooh. Can I answer the second one first?
Of course.
I have received advice. I remember I was in the Austin GP, and I was, gosh, talk about traveling a lot. I don't even travel. I felt like I didn't travel that much, but I was traveling kind of like back-to-back weekends or during the week for either sponsors, on a train, on a plane of some kind. And I was finally in Austin, and it was like last minute, and the hotel stuff, and I had to communicate with Redbull, who was in Europe. And anyway, I got to this event, which I was very lucky to be invited to, Circuit of the Americas. And I was talking to someone, and I was like, yeah, I just, like, I'm tired. Like, I just got to do a little sponsorship stuff. Just happy I made it here. And she looks at me, she's like, do you still have time to play? And I was like, that like took me aback for a second, because when I think of play, I think of like children's playgrounds. And she's like, yeah, like, do you still have, like, are you having fun? Are you still doing this for the reasons you started doing this? Like, are you enjoying yourself? And like, are you still playing, having fun ideas, being creative? Like, are you still doing that? And I was like, oh shit, no, I'm not. Like, like, this has suddenly become like a job. Like, I'm suddenly like, I gotta do this thing, like, make everyone happy, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't put like the reason I started this or started doing this in the first place. And she's like, yeah, just take that with you, or just remember that. And like, it was very just casual. And I was like, what? Like, my mind was blown. I was like, I didn't even think about that. Like, I was just constantly moving. Like, I didn't have time, quote unquote, for play or doing what I enjoy the most in my content creation / what I do. So I really appreciated that kind of step back perspective. Best advice I've given. Man, I just give so much good advice. Oh, so hard to pick. There's one that I always give, and I'm not saying it's good advice, because when I say it out loud, people think it's obvious. And there's one that I think applies to all. The obvious one I always say is be kind. And everyone's like, oh, that's so obvious. And I was like, you don't realize, regardless if it's the content creators sometimes I've noticed or like interacted with who've lost opportunities because they're just not nice people. And nice, I mean, like even through email, hey, how are you? Thank you so much for this opportunity. How can I help? What can I do? As opposed to being like, not saying anything, not even being professional, just are people just being rude, have lost opportunities, or people you meet. The motorsports is a very, though global, it's a small world, word of mouth. And you wouldn't realize how much just being kind goes like such a far way to people who have been kind to me and not been kind to me. And then I like either express that to someone I've realized was either not their boss or their boss, and they're like, hey, like that's a big deal, that's not a big deal, or like absolutely greatly appreciate it. So yeah, being kind is the most obvious piece of advice, but that goes huge. And I think you'd realize that people should realize that more when they're working in motorsports or interacting with motorsports. It's a really big deal. And the piece of advice that always people seem to enjoy is don't expect you from other people, which is, this is how I would handle a situation, or this is the content that I do, or like I prefer to watch. So like, why is this person making this content? It's terrible content. Be like, no, this is what they want to do. They find interesting. They are from, I mean, back to the cultural thing, right? Like, oh, I don't do that. Be like, no, because you're not from there, or you don't know that language, or you don't know what they're saying, or you don't know blah, blah, blah. And maybe, so don't expect you from other people. Like I handle the situation this way. This person might handle it this way because of the way they were raised, what they've been through in life, what they've been taught, etc. So having that little bit of grace and realizing that, and kind of like just getting to a point where you both understand each other, both realize what's happening. Like it's never usually malicious. It's just the way I was taught to react, or the way I was taught to do something. Is usually the biggest one I like to tell people.
I definitely agree with the be kind. Like kindness can take you so incredibly far.
It's so simple, but it's just like I've met, I mean, we can, content creators are just easy because I just meet them all the time, where like I'll like in Vegas, I extended my hand to 2 content creators and it was just like no acknowledgement that I exist in my group. I was just like, what is happening right now? Like, we're just people. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is insane. Like, this is wild. And then and then Redbull would be like, oh, like, who should we invite to this one? And I'm like, well, now those 2. Fuck those people. Like, it's just like, do you want them representing you like that? Like, would you want them representing, regardless of what you think of certain teams or companies? Like, would you want this creator who treats these people, or who treats people who they think are beneath them like this, or whatever it is? Like the fact that you think I'm beneath you, like that's just ridiculous. Like, this is insane. Like, this F1 world is crazy. And it's just like, ugh. Yeah. Like, sometimes I hate being in it because like people are, then there's a whole Austin GP thing where people are like, oh, who got these paddock passes, or why does this person here? I don't know if you guys were in that like Twitter sphere, Instagram DM. They're like, how did this person get in here and that person get in there? And I was like, why do you give a shit so much? Focus on yourself. F1 knows who we all are. Fun fact, all teams know who all big content creators are. And there's a reason. And I don't know what that is sometimes. Maybe if you only make meme content, maybe the team doesn't need that right now. Maybe they need someone who does other stuff. Educational, like sim racing, whatever it is. They're looking for something different right now. And maybe you should reevaluate yourself before you're like, why is that person there? And like, numbers don't matter. They don't care what your follower count is. Well, I mean, celebrities, right? But like, what's your engagement rate's a big thing, right? Because I can have shit followers, but my videos can hit out like 100K, right? Like that's just different. That just means you make good stuff. It just mind your business is like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And stay in your lane, I think, as well. Because sometimes, oh my God.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can just fight people over the internet. I'm like, just don't say anything, please. Just don't.
If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all sometimes.
Yeah, knowing exactly what to say is a good trait, but I think knowing when to not say something is just as important.
It's better.
Knowing when to just boop and listen. I think there's another piece of advice, which is essentially it's not supposed to look the same. My path to success is going to look very different than like Tony Cohen Brown's Grid Click. Yeah. Like, we're just different people. We have different ways of presenting information. And there's times where I look on the phone and I'm like, oh, I didn't get this opportunity. Then it's like, oh, maybe I should have advocated for myself more. Now it's like, oh, I'm better at emailing stuff that's happening, events that are happening, just to get myself on the list, like being more audacious. Like, a rising tide, in my opinion, raises all ships. So like now that we're being more accepting of creators and having those conversations, creators, should they beware, what passes, whatever the conversation, if you think they're relevant, the fact that the teams are having them is good. And that means there's the doors opening and like we're trying to, but if you're like fighting me for a fucking sliver of a door and like doing this BS and like take it, like I don't even care at this point, like Jesus Christ, like it's not worth it. So it's definitely, be kind is a big one. And then it's just like your path of success is going to look different. Your path is not supposed to look the same because no one wants the same person on their team. So remembering that and why and whatnot, instead of doing that, maybe start, something that helped me a lot was talking to other creators when I started growing and being like, oh, do you like, exactly to your point, best piece of advice you've gotten, worst piece of advice you've gotten, like something you recommend, like books that you've read, the way I learned, like I love reading just stuff. So like what books do you read that helped you? Like, what did you do? And like, obviously don't copy their stuff, but like start doing it your own and like learn things like that. Like you just have to keep teaching yourself. It's not going to fall on your lap. Everyone's like, oh, how do you become successful so fast? I was like, so fast. It's been like 3.5 years. I think that's like a Lionel Messi quote. He's like, I became an overnight success after 10 years. It's like, it takes time.
Yeah. I mean, even the best recipes for food even take time. So like any recipe to success, it's gonna need time. And a lot of evaluation and trial and error.
Yes, I think that's the biggest thing. I think people forget that you need to make mistakes to get better, because otherwise you don't know if something works or doesn't work.
Exactly. Absolutely. Be cringe. Because wouldn't you rather be cringe and find people like you who enjoy your cringe and pretend something that you're not, and then you're like, man, I don't want to keep doing this. This isn't me. Just do it. Who cares?
Yeah. Aim high, as Jamie says in her emails.
Yes. I always say I have two sayings, so that's aim high. Like if you aim high, if you do a step back, it's still like higher. It's still not like on the level beneath it. And also like, we have a Dutch saying. That's nee heb je, ja kun je krijgen, which basically means that if you don't ask, you always have a no. And if you ask, it can turn into a yes. So always reach out, always try to reach out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the worst they can say is no. And then Lynn St. James, popular woman in motorsport, always said no is only no from that person on that day. And she emailed someone in Ford every single day till she got a yes. Trying to get to like drive for them. And she's like, you just
that's what we gotta do with asking. Some people.
You just like keep emailing.
But that's the thing. I think you do already doing that a lot. Like if you don't try to reach out to someone, they don't know you from your existence. So at least they now know you exist.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't fit into their schedule at that point of time and you reach out. But if they say, for example, like reach out in the new year or reach out in that month, like you can try to reach out again then, and then who knows, maybe you'll schedule them for like 2 weeks in advance and you'll have them scheduled and you're like, how did I even get a response from them? I can't believe it, but you have them scheduled and you have like, you put yourself out there and you created the opportunities for yourself that you wanted to try to reach. And yes, you have, of course, the other person responding to you, which also, of course, also is very useful. But you really are creating your own path to success, which might not be everyone's, as you said, but it's what you want to do and it's in the way you want to reach it. And that's just a beautiful thing about life.
Yeah, and maybe because I'm thinking about this piece of advice, the next one, because we're just a group of women, but there have been so many there's so many incompetent men across all racing series. Just like, we can get away with so much if we stopped doubting ourselves. It is insane. So please send that email. Try to get into that Paddock club or garage or get that job. Just, it is wild. It's just, I think they would appreciate someone who's kind and then suddenly does their job well. Forget about that guy. He's going to be long gone. Like, they should be worried about us. Gosh, they keep making fun of us and gaslighting us because they see, I think as soon as we realize that how many incompetent people work in motorsports on all levels, we're coming for their jobs. That's right. We're stealing your jobs. You should be worried. Because the past year I've had, the stories I could tell when I'm 65, I'm just like, how are you here? If I did this in my job, I would be fired. Like, I don't understand how you got away with this. And you keep getting away with this. It's
But
insane.
I have that with my current job as well. Like, I'm sometimes like, how are you still employed at this job? Even though we've given feedback to our manager and stuff multiple times. But yeah, I guess nepotism sometimes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But if you're listening to this and you're like, should I do it? Do it. I mean, don't text your ex. I mean, like, go for the job. Go for the email. Like, send it. Full send it, baby.
Go for the smart opportunities that have nothing to do with access.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because men, who are they? I don't know them.
Who are they?
We're here for the women in motorsport.
Oh, yes. I mean, yeah, you're also a great man, but, you know.
They're rare.
Yes.
Very rare. And sometimes it's just a show they put on.
Oh, yes.
But yeah. Jamie, do you have any questions?
Yes, actually, is there someone you look up to, and if so, who is it?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think for the career path that I'm trying to frame for myself in terms of the United States, there are two. I mean, there's multiple women in sports analysts. So something I like to do is look outside of motorsports for inspiration. So I'll look at see what baseball creators are doing or what American football creators are doing. But two big women in sports, or I could say three, honestly. You have Katie Nolan, Mina Kimes is huge, and Malika Andrews, and those are all various either football or basketball, etc. So there are women I look up to because they deal with the constant men in their comments I see on their Twitter when they make sports analysis. They're very good points. Or I was watching the ESPN and the NBA game, and Malika Andrews was sitting on the desk, and all these guys are around her. And we have a famous dude named Stephen A. Smith who likes to yell a lot. He is like yelling and like the dramatic things. And he recently called, I think, I forget if it was an NBA player, he called someone fat, and he's like, yeah, I called you fat because I care about you. And I was like, this is weird. Anyway, these men are like yelling, and she has kept her composure, and she makes very good points, and she doesn't have to yell to make her points. And I know that's his shtick, and that's like why he's famous, to like do the blah, blah, blah. But you got Malika Andrews there, and she's just like spits out her facts, her stats. She's right. Like, that's the best part. She's like, yeah, but so and so like didn't do this, and like can't it like has a 2% chance off the 3-point line. Like, it's just these women who constantly, I guess, as we all do, have to overprove ourselves in these certain aspects, especially in relations to men, and are able to be on these major national broadcasts in the United States, where football is huge here, right? American football, and then basketball and stuff, and deal with the rhetoric and stuff that they get, and be able to analyze and deal with their co-hosts and have these opinions, and constantly also put out content to make sure they stay relevant with different generations and stuff. So definitely looking towards those women who do that in such a huge scale of something that I wish to one day do for motorsports. I say a lot of words. I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
No worries. I enjoy having someone else here that's very talkative, because it makes it so that the conversation flows a lot more naturally.
Great. I'm here. Whenever you need me, just let me know. I'll pop in and I'll just insert what you gotta do. There's a lot to say, so little time.
That's
but yeah,
definitely sure.
Definitely women who, trying to aim towards that kind of sports analyst, which I think is kind of missing in motorsports, right? Like, we have the presenters, we have like creators, like I make that educational content, but I feel like we're missing the like analytical side. And I think, I don't know where that comes from, because I've seen it on Twitter sometimes where you're like I'm critical of the way Lando Norris has performed against Oscar Piastri, but Oscar Piastri is newer to Formula One. Yeah, but sure, but Lando Norris has been here for X number of years, and he still can't do X amount of things. Meanwhile, while Lewis Hamilton was a rookie, Max Verstappen was a rookie, Fernando Alonso, Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz were all right. We start looking at stats.
I still find it very funny that Oscar Piastri, in theory, kind of practical as well, got a win before Lando Norris did.
It's
because
just,
I mean, a,
yeah,
a sprint win is still a win. A win is
yeah,
a win.
a win's a win. And I think it's interesting to have those discussions and being like, look at all these people in their rookie year who were able to do this in 4 years against Lando Norris, or like so and so only has X number percentage. And that's missing. Be like, oh, a number of successful overtake attempts. Successful to me being you overtook and you're able to keep your position for 5 or more laps or 10 or more laps. Like we don't have that. Like we have maybe like fastest lap, and it's like, great, this doesn't mean anything to me during race pace. Like, awesome. Like, and also the cars aren't the same. And I find it weird. There's no like algorithm to like somehow equal out the playing field of skill sets. Like there's like so much analytical stuff that I feel like we're missing from the overall. I know there's information missing about like engines and aero and all this stuff, and I just feel like there's something missing of this person should be able to do this, or comparatively to this person at this age, things like that. So when I look towards those women like Mina Kimes, Katie Nolan, Malika Andrews, who are able to do that with other sports, which might be their sports might lend more towards that, and just looking at how they do that and deal with that and analyze those things, and how can I apply that to motorsports?
Yes. I think it is also very needed because now people are saying, oh, it's more opinionated than facts. Like if it's facts, it's facts, you can argue that. But now it's still like, I think that so-and-so is better than so-and-so. I'm like, yeah, but sometimes you can't compare people, and sometimes you can.
Yeah.
But it's,
I like to say, familiar to American football, they say team win, like it's not a quarterback stat. Like a quarterback doesn't determine the whole game. I like to take that and say race wins shouldn't be a driver stat, or like only a driver stat. Because you look at a race overall, yes, he's driving the car, but like you have to look right, driver versus car. You have to look at strategy, because when the strategy goes bad, suddenly we're blaming the Ferrari strategy team. We're not blaming Charles Leclerc. But when Charles Leclerc wins, it's because Charles Leclerc did well. And I was like, where's the disconnect there? I was like, are race wins a driver stat? Are they a team stat? And it's just like going back and forth. And I think there's discussions to be had around that, whether you disagree with that or not, whatever your opinion is, right? I think that's a fun thing, and I think that could be a motorsport thing. But either like we don't think about that, or like I've seen people just get so aggressive about, like I put that out there one time and everyone's like, what are you talking about? And then I explained it and they're like, okay. I was like, great, we're not going anywhere with this discussion.
Yeah.
It's just like, I know we're missing some kind of like analytical component where, I don't know, like F1 TV just talks about, think about all the races I've watched. It's mostly like what's happening. Live reactions from Crofty. Someone on the grid. I don't know. I feel like something's just missing analytical wise. So I'm going to be better like keeping spreadsheets and points and things throughout the year to kind of just talk about it.
So I personally, if I can, I will watch with the commentary the F1 TV team. So often it's Jolyon Palmer, James Hinchcliffe been there a couple of times. I believe Sam Collins. And Sam Collins is known for like his analysis of like technical aspects, but also like of things that happen in qualifying, in the race, in free practice, stuff like that. So I think like with F1 TV, I've definitely had that gap a little bit more filled of the analytical analyses. But I do agree that there is still a gap there, that it could be done a lot more and a lot better, and just more prominently in general.
Yeah, I don't know if they're afraid of getting people angry. I don't know what it is. I mentioned the Stephen A. Smith thing. People are like, I don't want that. But I was like, it's some people do. Some people want a random person just yelling about stats and drivers and stuff. And like, you just meet people where they are, right? So yeah, I can research like how different countries cover certain things, right? Because you mentioning that kind of full circle to an earlier conversation. But yeah, I definitely don't see that from the stuff that I intake on my social media of motorsports, of comparing stats or strategies or what works, or is Charles Leclerc good at an undercut or an overcut? Is Ferrari good at this? Things like that. And kind of piecing all of that together to tell like a whole narrative of the season. and be like, oh wow, they really improved, or he's all of a sudden like Oscar Piastri can overtake twice as well than he did in the beginning of the season. And I don't know what he's trained on or what he's practiced, but someone can ask that question, someone can get interviewed, blah, blah, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, researching things like that is always very interesting, and like just to see like what can happen, it always baffles me.
It's
And
more than drive fast. Like
it's more
that's
than drive fast.
Yeah.
It's drive fast, react fast, be aware of your surroundings, try not to pass out, stay hydrated, communicate well with your team.
Yeah.
And have your team communicate well to you as well. Remember all of the different plans, especially if you're a Ferrari driver. Things like that. Like there's so much more than just driving a car.
Yeah.
It's insane. But yeah. So we've talked about a couple of different series. What is for you the favorite series to follow? And what do you always see yourself looking for when watching any type of motorsport?
Ooh, I really enjoy, I think I mentioned earlier, like the Toyota GR Cup. They're just in GR86s or the MX5 Cup, just little Miatas, and spec series. And it's a lot of people proving themselves because they want to get signed with a team. So in Toyota GR Cup, they're in the GT World Challenge. So maybe they're looking for, they want to race in a GT4, GT3, a touring car. They just want to move up somewhere or like showcase their skills. So it's interesting to see people fight for position or to show what they can do in these spec series, because all the cars are the same. So it's based on how well you can do. And they're just trying to prove themselves in various street courses, which is, I mean, I think what a GR86 and a MX5 can do well is like have fun in a street course and zip around. I definitely enjoy sports car racing a lot as well. Whether it's IMSA when they have different classes and just zipping around constantly for the endurance part of it. I think that's really interesting because how well does the car survive X amount of stress factors and all those things? So definitely the spec series are my number one to watch, but then we go into sports car world, and that's definitely something I really enjoy.
I like that. Very different than what answers people usually give.
I mean, GR86 is so fun, and I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. I'm just saying that because there's just like MX5 too. I gotta appreciate both because they can just they just throw those cars around. They're like little zippy cars. They're so fun. You can go buy one if you want. Try it for yourself and just race around your legally. Before I said something illegal in your city.
Just go to the German highway. Deutsche Autobahn.
Yeah, for sure. It's just like
close enough.
It's to me it seems, I mean, the GR86 is so expensive. Racing is expensive, and we will understand that as a blanket. But if you're able to get an MX5 and then race in the MX5 Cup and just be able to do that and just show your skills, or if you're an up and coming racer and things like that, I think it's so fun to watch, especially being a spec series. So there's a lot of on close battles. There's battles up and down the grid. So sure, they're fighting for P1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but then people are fighting for positions in the back and just trying to survive, do their best, races of attrition, be scrappy because they want to show off their skills to potential sponsors and things like that. So definitely always appreciate those kinds of races.
That sounds very fun. I should definitely look more into possibly watching those as well. But
I think IMSA, if you're outside of the United States, you go IMSA.tv, you can watch all the IMSA races for free, which is nice because I can't do that. I gotta watch that like Peacock or NBC or something. I don't USA Network. I don't know.
Yeah. Sometimes
I also believe we can watch it on Ziggo because Rango is
but
against.
Is he still racing? Oh wait,
yes.
no, it was Guido van der Garde.
Yeah,
that
Guido
was retired. Never mind.
They
look the same. They look
they
the
are
same.
Not. They're definitely not.
Yeah. But yeah. I don't have any more questions or funny insights that I have in my head.
Comments, concerns? I mean, I'm happy to address it.
Do you have questions for us?
Oh yeah. Oh, I like that. I appreciate that. Do you guys ever run out of ideas for either podcast or something you want to talk about?
Sometimes, yes. But I think usually we have like such interesting guests invited that there's always something to keep talking about. Or there's most of the time something going on that we can talk about. So like, yes, sometimes I do run out of ideas, especially content-wise, because I want to try to create more content for our TikTok account, but keeping up with like what is the trend at what point of time and how can you apply it to motorsport is the difficult part, in my opinion.
Yes. And definitely because we are like not doing only F1, so we're also doing Formula E, WEC, and that kind of stuff. So it's sometimes very hard to just get it in that content. So then it's always looking how you can implement it. And we are going to races, so that's good. So we can use that, but it's still, around that. It's still thinking. I'm always thinking like, okay, what can I do to at least get something out? But it's hard.
Yeah. Especially time-wise as well.
Oh, yes.
At least for me as a university student, it's insane how busy I am. Like, yeah. But I guess it's part of life. Keep busy, enjoy life.
Have fun.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Have fun.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, sometimes we do run out of ideas or things to talk about or stuff like that. But usually because it's motorsport and we don't just do F1, it helps us a lot with content-wise, especially for the podcast, because it also broadens our ability to invite guests. Because certain guests, of course, certain people work in certain parts of motorsport, and F1 people are a lot more difficult to reach out to than any other motorsport. So I think that definitely helps us, considering our focus as well isn't just F1. So yeah.
Yeah. And in the United States, I always feel like I'm 5 hours behind on news because I'll wake up and like things will be announced in Formula One and people would have covered it already. And I'm like, I'm just waking up. I'm so behind.
Yeah, but sometimes the delayed news is the news that gets to me. Because sometimes new things get revealed afterwards. Like the news is out like for 5 hours. But like in those 5 hours, a lot of more information about it can come out. And then when you post the news, then you can add a lot more insights on it.
Yeah.
Sometimes. So sometimes it's good to have a delay, sometimes not so much. It completely depends on what kind of news it is.
For sure.
But yeah, I really cannot think of anything more. Do you have any other questions still for us?
I got nothing that I can think of right now.
I also don't know anything at the moment.
I feel like we covered a lot. We really went.
We definitely went everywhere. We went down the rabbit hole.
I mean, that's
a couple of them.
Normal. I mean, it's very normal for us. Like we started something one point, and then it's like,
oh, let's go there. Then go there. Then go there.
How do we get there? But I think that also makes it more
not
fun.
about the journey. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey that we made.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's true.
And I think some people sometimes forget that, just in general in life.
Yeah, I also mostly think that people think like, oh, good, I'm going viral, but then you still need to follow up, keep following up, and then they don't know what to do anymore. Like
another good piece of advice is you can mute notifications on tweets. I like to do that. I like to throw shit out in the wind, and then I just get I get no notifications about what just happened, and I'm like, all right, cool. Keep talking to yourselves. I don't really care.
Just enjoy the discussion under yourself.
God, you know who hates Carlos Sainz a lot? Charles Leclerc fans. Jesus Christ. I complimented that man.
And you
And the
know
number of
who
Charles Leclerc
hates,
fans that were just like, he's terrible. What are you talking about? I was like, oh, Jesus
and
Christ.
you know who hates Charles Leclerc? Carlando fans.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I thought they would, here I'm thinking like, oh, Ferrari, right? Like you want to support your team because that's the way I think. Don't expect you from other people. Nope. I was like, Jesus. I was like, why are you attacking me? I was like, he did fine this year.
Literally. It's insane.
And good, and I'm glad they're passionate, right? Like, go for it. But I was like, I just didn't expect it. Like, I was just like, oh, like, I don't know, like Alpine fans are going to be like, please, like, he's like, blah, blah, blah. And I just didn't expect it from like within, like the call was coming from inside the house. Like, I did not expect that.
Yeah. It's insane.
I also remember a tweet about someone saying, yeah, I don't get people who support multiple drivers. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Like, that, okay, fine, you don't do that, but like, I'm
Hey, buddy, you do you.
Yeah, but like,
Have you seen the Formula E grid?
That's not
There's no way you can just support one driver there.
But that's the thing. Like, I want that everybody does well because it's good for the sport.
Not everyone.
But not everybody thinks like that.
Right, exactly.
But also, I mean, there are other people I'm like, I don't care about how good you perform, but sometimes I think like it's good for the sport if everybody does well.
Right.
But
yeah,
people are like, no.
Some people think
how
only
can you do
crashes
that?
are good for the sport.
No.
Yeah, so just mute your notifications. It's great. I'm thinking about making a tweet saying how people say Americans are ruining Formula One, and I was like, well, the F1 theme song was composed by an American, so we'll be taking that back, and then just muting notifications and seeing what happens.
Let's go back to the chain.
Yeah, I was like, let's go. God, there was that horrible intro. God, I think it was like 2006. With like there was like a falcon in it, and it was just like so weird. Random animals and just like women look like a James Bond intro, and I was like, this is so bad. I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
it's just like,
It's when I look back to some of the old F1 intro videos, I'm like, how did we ever thought this was
a product of their time, right? Yeah.
How did we think like this is revolutionary, you know?
Wild.
And then this year we had T-Post George.
I still think that's so funny.
Iconic on a whole different level. But yeah, I think we can end it. Jamie, to you the honors.
Yes. Ash, I want to thank you for being here. It was an honor and it was lovely speaking to you. And for our listeners, also thank you for listening. And if you don't follow us on our socials, then in the description of this podcast, you will find the link tree to all our socials. And we see you next time.
And in the link tree, we also have the WhatsApp group groups to all of the Formula E races in Europe. So if you're attending any of the races and you want to meet up with like-minded people, feel free to join those, because we want to create community and fun and try to plan meetups as well. So yeah.
So, again, thank you for listening, and until next week.
Bye, everyone.
You want me to take you back?